about the other stuff. I mean,
All right, we are here
exactly. You guys
on the very first episode here of the Beverly Hills 90210 show. And I have our panel of experts and fans. Let's reintroduce everybody here. We have Larry Mollin.
Hello.
So tell everybody when you were with 902.
I like to say that I'm the college years. I wrote the first episode of College, and I wrote the last episode of College. And there were 128 episodes in between.
Very cool. And then we have Lily, who's with us, representing the fans on this episode, right?
Yes, Lilly Amorim, and I help manage 3 of the Facebook groups.
Very cool. And then, of course, the legendary Charles Rosin. Why don't you tell us when you were there and some of the things that you did?
Well, I was there right after they started shooting the pilot. They had finished the pilot and they got the series ordered. And that was I started in June. We went into production in August. We made our first day. We didn't go overtime, which probably made the biggest difference of anything. And then we premiered on October 4th, 1990, my father's birthday. And I stayed around. We crammed 6.5 years of TV into 5 years, and I left after the Palm Springs P.S. I Love You, which ended season 5.
So between the two of you, we go up to about season 7, College, when College was.
That's right. And for the purposes of this podcast, this show ended in season 7.
That's right.
Fair enough.
I think the fans many fans think that too, don't you?
Well, I mean, there's the Peach Pit. You have to give the Peach Pit After Dark its due.
Yeah.
I probably feel that it should have ended at college graduation. So
yeah.
That would have been my hope, and I always, Larry, I should have said like that's when I'll jump off the bus, and we would have had another couple of fun years together. But I was too burnt out.
You were burnt out for that, so that would have been a challenge for you in that period of time. You always need to look back on it.
That's like a battler.
Well, the cool thing about this new podcast is we're going to jump into hyper-specific episodes, and today we're talking about the celebration of the music of Beverly Hills 90210. I mean, it goes without saying that basically the music defines Beverly Hills 90210, and I think that's one of the reasons why there's the whole movement that we'll talk about at some other point that Chuck's working on about, restoring the music and all that stuff. But this episode, I really wanted to be about celebrating some of the moments, celebrating some of the critical songs. And each one of us has selected a song, and Lily's got a couple of songs from the fans. And then we might have some surprises for the fans that are watching the podcast or listening to it, however you're getting this right now, with some other people popping in with their favorites. So why don't we jump into our favorites, and why don't we start with the fans, right? That's where it starts and always ends.
Well, yeah, but I just want to put just a couple of things in context about the music, just things that are general motif about music. And
sure, yeah, definitely.
First is that one of the reasons that music was such a signature part of our show is because we had a music budget. We actually had money allocated to option licensed music, and we had some very hip music supervisors who were provided not by the Spelling Company, but by Propaganda, David Fincher's company. And so we had a music budget. We had no production budget. We had the lowest license fee in television. So music, we could get some good choices, and we had a good, and these people brought us really good songs. And it's kind of defined us. It was very important to Darren Star, who created the show, that the music was hip and defined the generation of high school to be true to high school people. My focus was, okay, let's try to get their older brother and sisters and their aunts and uncles in their 30s to like it too. And you wanted a diner? Okay, we got this diner. Called the Peach Pit. Let's have a jukebox. And we put in oldies out of that. At one point, only one point did Fox ever say, take out these oldies, and I said no, and it wasn't much of an issue. And they were great to use because they were cheap.
How important?
The only other thing I want to say about
Pit music, the Peach Pit music is so important, I think, to the show.
Yes, well, that was what I was more comfortable with. Darren, some of the ones that you love that are the contemporary songs in season 1 and season 2 really came from Darren Star, because that was his métier, that was his focus. The one thing I just want to say about the one thing about how do you choose a song? How do we choose a pitch fit song? You're looking for tone. You're looking for the feeling of the song. You usually sting it hard and then put it under, unless the song is going to become the purpose. Like one episode we did in our high school was Dylan was sitting there listening to "Do You Ever Have to Make Up Your Mind" between Kelly and Brandon. We played that like 5-6 times, to be the joke. But mostly it's just to be under. Hopefully I get to do 2 songs today. I know I get to do 1, but I'm hoping to get 2. And the second one was one that we actually was the only song Mr. Spelling ever criticized me for the mix.
Oh, I can't.
Can I ask a quick question? I want to ask a quick question, and I don't know the answer to this, and maybe Chuck does. Who is John Davis? How did that theme get there? I look at his credits.
Great question. That is a great question.
Was he an old Spelling composer? Were you there for that?
Sure, I was. And he did not compose the original title sequence. A fella named Stacy, I think his name was, Stacy, if forgive me, because I really liked his theme a lot. And we did a title sequence, and it came from another writer-producer, not Darren Star, not myself, and it didn't quite come off. And Spelling didn't really like the song, and it wasn't the driving force. And Ken Miller, who was Spelling's associate producer, did a lot of work for him with music. This guy had done probably Dynasty or other things. I don't know. Kenny Miller probably owed him, and Spelling liked it. And I'll never regret the change, even though I really did like the other version.
He never worked again.
Yeah, well, that's the mistake of the version. That's for another episode. We'll talk about
it. What did you learn about pop music being an underscore in something like this?
Well, just that you didn't want the lyrics to get in the way. It wasn't necessarily about the lyrics. It was about the mood. And as we got into season 3, certainly the college years, but season 3, because season 3 we put out the soundtrack album.
Right.
So we had institutional support in Irving Azoff, who's a major everything. And he is Steely Dan and the Eagles and many, many things after that. He had his own record company for a while. And so we got some artists, we got some songs, we had some money to spend on things. We have music videos with the artists, and including Jamie. I saw one recently with Jamie Walters, actually. And P.S. I Love You. So, this was a mainstay of us, but mostly it was to, the songs were just to the underscore was not to take over and interrupt the real dynamic. And if it got in the way, and not draw that much attention itself unless it was supposed to draw attention to itself. So that's.
Yeah. How about you, Larry? Was there anything that you learned about pop music, having the opportunity to have all that great music during your years? Was there anything?
We had the Peach Pit After Dark, so we had a performing venue, so we had a lot to draw from. I figured out I wanted to see who played there. There was pretty broad bunch here, but I know for sure we did a Halloween show with the Cramps, which was a swamp rockabilly punk band, which was pretty far out, and we had the Blind Boys from Alabama for a Sunday brunch. So you could draw from all
of that. I didn't know that. I like that. I like. I saw them before. I went to their
fantastic, Chuck. We had Luther Vandross for a Valentine show.
Incredible.
We had, of course, the Flaming Lips, which was it was the classic. They're a classic alternative band, and they had just played the first, I think, Lollapalooza, and I was gonna basically tell the story because we were looking for the episode Love Hurts, where Donna. There's going to be an attempt to rape her. It's going to be an edgy episode, and we kind of thought it would be kind of fun to have an unusual band. And I remember when we were trying to get people, Ken Miller was, who Chuck mentioned, was very important in all the music. He was the basically go-between, and he had his own taste and was a writer himself. So we reached out to the bands, and I was reading, like Flaming Lips, to their side of it, they couldn't believe that we would call them or we would want them there. They thought it was a big joke. They thought it was a prank. They never thought it was ever going to happen. And our actors, I remember, didn't, they weren't really jumping to it. It was really, the song that their big hit was called, the song we played. I have to just find this because
She don't use jelly or something.
It was She Don't Use Jelly.
I had never heard of the Flaming Lips when Larry said the Flaming Lips.
Said,
I was strictly Hootie and the Blowfish. So this is all Larry here.
Just so you know, I know a girl who thinks of ghosts. She makes you breakfast. She makes you toast. She don't use butter. She don't use cheese. She don't use jelly or any of these. She uses Vaseline.
Right.
I mean, that was, we put that on in prime time, and it really worked in the episode, and it's become kind of a classic of the music world because the Flaming Lips are still around.
It's a little bit of the Flaming Lips right
Larry,
there.
Is there something making noise in the background somewhere?
Oh, I was playing the Flaming Lips. Sorry.
Oh, sorry, buddy. Go. I always thought it was noisy.
It was very noisy. They are very noisy.
But the classic line, which gets repeated in all the music magazines, is Steve Sanders saying, "I'm no fan of alternative music, but these guys rock the house."
Yeah.
And, it was pretty funny.
Dude, so let's go through some of the choices here that we went through. And then there's a couple more questions I have about anybody that turned you down and maybe some songs that you had opportunities to. So I want to jump into some of that, but let's go through some of the songs. The Flaming Lips being Larry's. Lily, I'm going to pop you back here. I muted you because there was a little bit of some interference there. So what is the first one? I think we all know what the first one's going to be that the fans selected. But go ahead and tell us what you got.
Well, I have a few, but I'm going to start with Blood is Thicker Than Water. So the final, the graduation commencement part 2, the final scene when they're staring at their WBEV 93 sign at the Hollywood sign.
Yeah.
Blood is thicker than water.
I do remember that one.
That's what the fans want to hear. That really is the one they want to hear. Okay.
It was.
I think the one that they really want to hear is Losing My Religion.
That's what have been my guess.
That was one of them too.
Yeah. So let's.
This song. Why don't we talk about this song a little later? Because that song was put in, I think, on the mixing stage. That was not the song we wanted to use. I've seen it cut to the song I want to use, thanks to our friend in Cincinnati, Larry, and it's fabulous. My song, but this one's, okay.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that a little bit later on. Let's go to the big ones that came up a bunch in the
Losing My Religion.
Yeah, so Losing My Religion. Let's start there. Chuck, how does Losing My Religion get into this episode of 90210? And I'm going to mute you again, Lily, but just because it was getting some feedback there. I'll leave you off. We'll see how.
You have to remember we were coming off a full season. 22, and now we're doing summer episodes. So the way we looked at the summer episodes, and Darren Starr.
Chuck, I'm going to interrupt you real quick. We have a special guest that's going to pop into the feed here. Okay. Are you guys ready for that? Before you move forward, we are being joined by someone that's popping in. Christine, how are you?
I'm well. How are you guys?
We're all good.
Good.
Nothing at all.
How is quarantine treating you?
I'm a bit of a recluse anyway. Some of my friends said that when it first started that I was overqualified for quarantining. And I think for the most part that's proven to be true. I think that I'm sure we all have waves of like, wow, I can't do it anymore. I feel sad today, but for the most part, I'm okay.
That's good. So the topic here is the songs from the celebrating the music of 90210. Are there particular songs that you have a connection to from the seasons?
Yeah, of course. First of all, in high school, I was super punk rock, and I was a huge fan of the Cramps. So Chuck let me write the episode called Gypsies, Cramps, and Thieves that the Cramps appeared on, which was a highlight for me. It sort of tied my youth to my current life at the time. So that was really fun for me.
That's awesome.
And I know that the DVDs don't have the original music on them.
Yeah.
But I think Chris Isaak, I think Wicked Game was used to great effect. I think either in a Brenda Dillon breakup or a Brenda Dillon reconciliation. I think in season 2.
I think it's a reconciliation, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The reconciliation, exactly, and really a terrific song. And then there was the song. What song, Christine? Do you remember? I haven't looked at it recently, so I don't know. Do you remember what song was playing when you went up to Lookout Point, first with Brandon and then with Dylan, or the opposite way around? Like there was some song. We played the same song, and it might have been.
It was Wicked Game.
Yeah,
Wicked Game. That's what I thought. We did a 2-play on that. We would get friends of the show, and the friends of our show were Chris Isaak and REM. They allowed us to use their music, whereas many in the beginning, and even throughout the run, there were people. Because the thing about a hit song is that if a group has a hit song, and we were a show that commanded at that point, they knew they were going to get exposure everywhere, but nonetheless, they would still get more money holding out to be licensed for a feature film. And so a lot of the music that was just by super groups weren't really licensing to television, and certainly to a little Fox show in the first 2 years.
Christine, when you hear Wicked Game, if it's on your Sirius XM dial, do you think about those moments or the episode?
That's I think the only song that I really do. And it might be because it was in a scene for me too, and it was my first episode, and all of that was such a big emotional thing for me, and I'm a huge fan of Chris Isaak too. So yeah, I do actually connect. I see Brenda and Dylan, and I always when I happen upon the show, which happens occasionally, or somebody will post a link, I'm always really impressed at how talented Shannon Doherty is. Shannon Doherty really can say a lot without saying anything. And my favorite work on the whole show is the scenes I did in the first episode with Shannon. She's just so grounded, and I just I really believe she loved Dylan like so intensely, and that's really sweet. And so yeah.
All right, before we let you go, Christine, someone pop this one up. Emily Valentine singing Mercedes-Benz by Janis Joplin. What was your thoughts on doing that?
I can't sing. I'm a fucking unbelievably, incredibly not talented singer.
And she's a great liar.
Because I sang that one. They took me to a recording studio and had me record Mercedes-Benz.
But I'm talking about when we met you, when you came into Aaron's office. You had your guitar. You played it live.
No, I did not have a guitar. I can't play guitar. I can't play.
Well, you sang it. We had to hear you sing it before.
Yeah, I had to sing Mercedes-Benz.
A cappella then, right?
A cappella every time. Yeah. And actually, I was so nervous since I'm not a singer. I kept dropping the lines. And when I went to record it, Ken Wagner, right? Was it Ken Wagner that was in the recording with me?
Kenny Miller. Kenny Miller is his name. Ken Miller.
Who is the showrunner that passed away?
Oh, Paul Wagner. Paul Wagner.
Oh, Paul, our friend Paul.
Paul was even there.
Wow.
And they were asking me to pretend to forget the lyrics again because they thought that was a great choice, and it hadn't been a choice at all. I was just terrified.
Right.
But the proof that I cannot sing is in that I tried to sing "Breaking Up Is Hard to Do," which is one of those songs like "Happy Birthday." It's much harder to sing than you think, and that's not my voice that you hear singing that song. Occasionally they layer my voice in, and any time you hear like anything that sounds like remotely like a sour note, that's when my voice is layered in there. So I really truly can't sing guitar or ride a motorcycle.
How were Shannon and Jenny? Were they good singers?
They didn't do the singing either. One studio musician sang everybody's part.
There you go.
Great. I like hearing that. I didn't know. I learned something today too.
Okay, but before
I go, also, you guys had my parents in Boston had a recording studio and a record label, and they had a band called Power Man 5000 on that label.
Oh, we had him on the show, yeah.
You had him on the show, yeah.
Later, very good.
Well, I mean, it was Jason's record label.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Before you leave, Christine.
Brian was a video director, I think.
What's that?
Brian was directing their video. It's one of my.
Yeah. It was the first episode of season 7.
Yes.
I did write the song "Don't Be," which was a nihilistic song of and we had it was interesting.
Very cool. Before you go, real quick, I know Chuck, when we did a thing before about the Stones episode, you said that the one person that hung out with you through the entire Stones concert was Christine. So do you have any memories of that?
Oh, absolutely. Christine, because the truth was, that year, that 5th year, that last year, Christine and Jason and Karen and I, we saw each other. We actually had a wonderful dinner with you guys up in Montecito that Karen and I always remember. We left the kids with the babysitter and came up and did that. And so here we are doing the Rolling Stones, and part of the plot, you could be in the front row, and it was and Jason and Brandon and Gabrielle Andrea are coming late, and they get there, and we get the shot after I almost blew the shot with Mick Jagger coming down to be in the shot. Our two characters standing right there. We are here, and the only people there is a small production crew, Jason and Gabrielle, Christine and I, because we realized these are the Rolling Stones. Yes, there's a TV show going. I don't think you were in that episode at all, Christine.
Nope.
So we were on the side watching, and they were 15 feet away. I mean, they were close. They were right there. And of course, the beauty of, I think you know this story, Larry, is it was supposed to be only one shot, and then Mick Jagger goes back, and then all of a sudden Keith Richards wants to be in the shot, and he comes down, and Jagger did it again. It was all great. So we're really pumped up, and I think the Stones did about 2 to 3 more songs. And Christine and I hung out there for one song, and then Jason comes and goes, "Christine." And she left.
Yeah.
What's your memory of that, Christine?
I was blown away. I'm not a big stadium rock. I don't like big shows. I'm spoiled. I come from, again, like punk rock, so I got to see all my favorite bands back in the day in a room with 200 people. And I'm not anymore. I mean, everyone loves the Rolling Stones. If I had to pick between the Stones and the Beatles, I'm picking the Stones. But it was sort of contrary to my idea of what a band I would make that much effort to go see. But because of the show, it wasn't effort; it was a gift.
Right,
and I'm not so stupid to turn that gift away. And I was blown away by how exciting it was. It's one of the highlights, one of the best live shows I've ever seen. Partly because it's so close. It was really an incredibly diverse crowd of every age and race and creed, and everybody's having a great time. And Mick Jagger's 200 years old, like a fire, and still dancing around like he's 15. And it was really an amazing opportunity. And I'm glad that I was clever enough to take advantage of it.
Did you see the Stones on that show, that Global Citizen performance those guys did? Oh my God, that was fabulous.
All right, Christine, thank you so much for joining us here. Much appreciated.
Be safe. Thanks for having me.
You got it. Thank you. All right, so that was a nice little surprise for everybody, right, Lily?
Absolutely.
All right, cool. So so let's get back. We were just gonna attack the ones that we
Losing My Religion, right?
Yeah, we're gonna get to Losing My Religion, and I can't imagine not discussing it because it's such a big moment in
it is the signature song, and it's great. And you have to understand, so there we were, and so what we did is we divided up episodes. Darren did an episode, I did an episode, Darren did an episode, I did an episode. Basically producing it. I think the last one, was his, but it was mine. And this first episode was completely Darren Starr. He had agreed to write this script of them breaking up because she's scared and the whole reaction to the fact that she had lost her virginity. And, but we felt, okay, we've got to say these things, we've got to do these things, but he wanted the best music he could possibly get at that point. And we had raised our profile. And as I said, REM and Chris Isaak were open to us, their record companies. So this really one is, it's the beauty of Darren Starr. It's a wonderful song about being tentative about anything.
Yes.
Not sure, it's not, that's me. And I think I feel this way, not I feel this way, so it really is that 90s. I don't know which way I'm going.
Yeah. So Chuck, what is one that you picked? We got Flaming Lips. We've got Losing My Religion. What's the first one that you picked?
Well, because I started this tonight talking about the Peach Pit, I think we should go to the Peach Pit song. And the episode is called Fame Is Where You Find It. And this is the one. This was pitched and put in as Brandon Goes Hollywood, and has this Hollywood fantasy because we have these young Hollywood people, and it seemed right. And my wife was extremely pregnant with my son, and so she was home. We used to collaborate on scripts. We needed one really quick at that point, and the network had asked for, can we cool it with the social drama? They pushed social drama for a lot, and I could do social drama. And I said, can we find some humor here? So there's a lot of backstory, but we put this together. But one thing that I've noticed about 90210 episodes, when I see them again, is, you look to see, well, this was our intention. It was Jason's episode. Nobody remembers Jason's part in it.
No.
This is Brenda's episode. This is about Laverne.
When Brenda shut it out.
And we told her about the character. She said, oh, that sounds fun. And they filmed this episode. And what Christine was talking about with Shannon's talent is that it burst. And this was as a young woman. And the one thing that you see so much in her performance when you look at the video of it is just how much fun she was having.
Yeah.
And what better song to put out there about teenage angst than that of another generation by Leslie Gore. It's my party, and I will cry when I want to. And I know that two of our good people, Nicole, excuse me just a second here. Margot and Nicole, I know, were two people who predicted that this song would be played.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
of all the Peach Pit songs, here's the one oldie that comes out, even if it was performed and not off the box.
Lily, was that one that the fans also wanted to hear about, do you think?
Yes, it did come up quite a few times.
Yeah. So it's definitely a good pick. For me, I'm going to pick Harry Nilsson's Remember, when Andrea Zuckerman leaves the cast. I picked that because there's a moment where Andrea, the character,
you really like Schmaltz. That's why you picked it. Like Schmaltz.
I love him. And there's a moment when the character says, I feel like Dorothy, that she's leaving Oz in a way. And I think that song really captures that moment. Do you guys remember that? Chuck,
I would say Jessica. That was a Jessica Klein episode, one of a really great writer producer for the show, and I think it was the penultimate episode of season 6.
5, buddy. It was the one before Palm Springs, and it was saying goodbye to Andrea.
Andrea left then. Oh,
that was the one she left in, the second to last episode.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so yes,
that accompanied it, and then the. And Jessica's husband at the time and writing partner, Steve Wasserman, was a music guy. He was one who had strong opinions, and this was the song he picked. I love Harry Nilsson. I used to listen to Harry Nilsson in college all the time and regretted I didn't have the piano.
I froze up.
But I'll tell you something, but I have to be truthful, because you said this song, and I said to Larry, when did you use it? And Larry comes back and says, I didn't use that song. And I find out that, it's
I want to say, I think we should put in perspective. Steve Wasserman, when you wanted schmaltz, you went to Steve. Steve really, that's what he really would deliver, understood how to really
bring blood is thicker than water.
And I assume that Steve must have picked this song.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so with this song, it was one that I didn't remember, and I went back to look at the episode, in fact, and which I enjoyed recently. And the one thing, and there it was, and it was really a nice tribute to Gabrielle. But the reason I didn't remember it is because the only thing that anybody really remembers out of this episode is "I Choose Me."
Yeah,
and that's
the big "I Choose Me,"
and it eclipsed the music. The music was a good use of the music, good song, but it's not, for me, what I remember out of the particular episode.
Well, listen, speaking of that thing, we have a T-shirt design, and you guys haven't seen this yet, neither of you, but I want to show you the first T-shirt design for this new Beverly Hills 90210 show. podcast. Ready? Here we go. I'm going to try to share my screen and show you. So if you're looking for t-shirts, this might be a place to a great design. I think it was the perfect timing for this. So I am going to share my screen. I am going to go to here, and it should be this. Boom. There you go. I've made my choice.
Good start.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. All right.
I just thought the timing of that was perfect. So eventually we're getting into this new podcast thing. I think this is new for all of us, and we're trying to think of some fun things for you guys to have, and that's one of them. All right, so let's move on to your next choice. And I think there's people that are shouting him out already here. Stephanie shouted him out, and I know, Larry, you picked this one, but I'm sorry, that's the wrong one. Here we go. Boom. Hold On, Ray Pruitt, Jamie Walters.
We used this song twice, I realized. Maybe even more, but certainly twice we focused on it. It really was the introduction of the character. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. I can't wait to.
I think we talked about, Chuck talked about how, I think last time we had a podcast, how Jamie was discovered. He came out of a show called The Heights, another spelling show, and he had a #1 hit. And I checked it out, and I think 3 weeks after he had the #1 hit, his TV show got canceled. So that's the kind of luck Jamie had.
Right.
Anyway, I think spelling must have, in his heart, wanted to do something good for the kid. He brought him into us, and we went, yeah. He played guitar for us in the room and everything. We went, geez, yeah, we have nothing like this. And plus, we really liked the new album. It was a Steve Terrell produced album, and the single was Hold On, and it had a lot of heart in it. He was able to really sell it. And when we first introduced the blue collar character, it gave him another dimension. So he was a blue collar character, but he had this great talent. And Donna, we could really tell a pretty good story, which she really needed, because she was coming after Brian had broken up with her, and she had watched him in the back of the limo with Ariel Hunter, I think. So this kind of gave Donna a real hot flame, and someone who the rest of the cast could hate. But in the performance of it, we also did a performance of it where he's an usher with Don at the Rolling Stones concert.
Right, back to the
and while they're setting up, he sneaks on stage and grabs the guitar, doesn't get killed, and sings the song to an empty crowd. And we he sings
the song to an angry roadie.
Exactly. He does get thrown off the stage by a very authentic looking
he was the roadie.
We have another special guest. The roadie is here.
And poor Chuck had to handle the call from SAG that complained about my appearance. I don't know if you remember, Chuck, but they were very upset.
SAG and I, our good friend, our lifelong friend Gabriel Carteris is the president of SAG. But back doing this show, they were all over us. Jesus. Mr. Spelling would have to intervene a lot. Yeah. I do appreciate that, Aaron.
That's very funny.
But to wrap it up, I think the song "Hold On" though really became part of their romance and their love story, and for better or worse, that really became the heart of it. And of course, it ended badly, but
yeah,
the song was great. And the song also reached number 16 in the top 100.
And I do think that probably did something for Jamie in that period, obviously, right? I mean, that song was seen by millions of people. Yeah. Every time he either did it acoustic or at the Stones show or wherever it was played quite a bit. It really had potential to launch Jamie into like some sort of superstardom.
It did. I think he just turtled after he got fired. I don't think he did anything. Just kind of, went home. Kind of took his guitar and went back to Massachusetts, and then came back out here and became a firefighter.
Right, good for him. Chuck, do you have any memories of Hold On at all?
No, I would just say it just was really a perfect timing. I mean, we loved writing for him. As I say, I've watched some of the episodes, and I think he was directed, and maybe we were writing him a little too harsh, so he had nowhere to come back with his class enmity. He was really pissed off at these college kids that everybody else really loved, so it was very hard. We created him out there, and it started to be a little, as an acting thing, it just started to be repetitive, but that's as much as a storyline that we could muster at that point. We didn't have, I really like, well, anyway, Hold On is a really good song.
I think he brought that edge to it. I think he actually probably brought that edge to it.
Probably, exactly. Yeah.
I wonder if he was. I couldn't answer this, but I don't know how well he got along with the cast. I don't really know.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I do think that the Ray's character, I think there's definitely guys in high school or college, right, that can understand hating the group, right? So I think he definitely spoke to another portion of the audience for that maybe was being not ignored, but just accidentally ignored through the.
God knows we had haters. So.
All right, Lily, what do you got next?
So we have someone asking to talk a little bit about the things to do on a rainy day and Color Me Bad.
I feel like we have to talk about Color Me Bad here, and I'll show that question. That's Beth. We need to talk about Color Me Bad and things to do on a rainy day. Epic.
Well, there's a preview there. So again, this is when we started to get a music profile, and somebody says to me, "There's this wonderful group that wants to do it, and they sing a cappella, and I like that." And we saw them perform, and it was, there was no Boys to Men yet. Would I have taken Boys to Men? Maybe, but they were really good and were very sweet. The episode, so we did a number of ones, and the episode itself was shot at our Bellage Hotel, where we went to many times in high school. It's where Dylan lived. It's where we swam in the pool. It was on the roof. We used this a lot, this hotel, and it was the Felice Martin. We had just done all of this, a bit about the condom, and you have to do this, and she's the conservative, and look, marriages are what they are, and she was fooling around. Now the interesting thing, I don't know if you feel this way, Larry, but once we cast Donna's father, that nice guy, like, why was she cheating on him? It was like kind of weird. But at the same time,
she never cheated again. She never cheated again, as far as I know.
No, it was really, she became a different character. It became a different thing. Yeah. But we used it because also we used infidelity so much with
Jackie Taylor,
Kelly and David, that we really didn't need her to be that anymore.
Right. Yeah. But she's a great character. I think we could delve into a whole Felice thing. So let's save some of that for the future, because she's a very, very good character.
Her name is Catherine Cannon.
Yeah. Okay. So we did Lily. I'll do mine. So Chuck will save yours next one for the next one. I'm going to say the Lyle Lovett song, Nobody Knows Me. That's definitely Larry period, right? And this is of course the episode in which Dylan, Tony dies, and Dylan, it plays in that episode. Larry, why don't you give me some?
Well, it's the episode that Dylan's going to be leaving. I mean, it's kind of the end of everything. I think the episode, the lyrics are kind of like, she knows I want cream in my coffee, and this, and it's kind of just about intimacy and how it's over. And we realize it's really over. It was a big tearjerker, that episode, One Wedding and a Funeral, which Steve Wasserman wrote, I think was, of the single episodes, not a double, it was one of the highest. It was the highest rated episode, at least certainly up till season 7. And it just carries the mood. It's you've got Brandon there saying goodbye to Dylan. You got Dylan on a motorcycle with a little cat strapped to a knapsack on his back, and his wife. He's seen his marriage and his wife dying all one day, and it's a fantastic episode. And they really it was beautifully laid out and mixed, and it was perfect. And I realized the original choice for songs was Somebody's Crying by Chris Isaak, which we couldn't get. And then we got.
Oh, really? Chris Isaak wouldn't give it to you by that point? Really?
Yeah, because I remember now. I always remembered as Somebody's Crying. I had to go back and look at it because that was the song we originally chose. And then this one came in there, and I think again, dear Steve, who's no longer with us, I'm sure picked this out.
Yeah,
as the backup.
Steve really was. That's what when Steve would deliver, it was always the schmaltz. He would go places that we just didn't have in us.
I love it. I'm going to just shout out Courtney, who also suggested, Courtney Sheldon here, who's on with us on Facebook, also suggested that Lyle Lovett song as well. Beautiful song. Probably the only song I know by Lyle Lovett, right?
Me too.
Me three.
Yeah. All right, Chuck, what's the one? What do you got next for us? I know this is going to go.
Well, this is a song. Yeah, this is a song that not anybody is going to pick but me. And it really means a lot. And it's interesting because we started off with Losing My Religion, episode 1 of our summer episodes, Beach Blanket Brandon. I'm going now to talk about episode 2, which is called The Party Fish.
Yes.
Because at that point, we were filming at the Beverly Hills Beach Club, which we created. Mm-hmm. And Brandon was the job there because network executive and my friend Sandy Grushow said, you're doing summer episodes and we want you to, and what do you think about doing the Flamingo Kid? And I said, I love the Flamingo Kid. We can do that. We found the club. We did put these things together. Ironically, where the club is located in Los Angeles is next to the beach that all Beverly Hills high school kids and junior high school kids would go to, called Tees Beach at the time. So I knew this club really, really well, because where would Beverly Hills kids be if there wasn't a club right next door? So anyway, here's this beach club, and Brandon and there's a whole story about it, and we established Brandon. But as I was saying, so many artists would not license to us. And Elvis Costello decided to do it. And what I want to say, and I didn't, and I'm sorry, so let me loop this back here, is that when I heard we were doing summer episodes, well, yes, I was excited. But it also, as we got into it, it made me sad, because I had that experience every single day at the beach, where the beach sky was blue and the kids were a little more innocent, pre-pot, all of that, high school stuff in the back of the wall, the cool kids, and all of that, and in the water, and and smoking a lot of cigarettes. That was the California that I remember. While we started to film this episode, we had scenes where we had our actors in the water, the one with Kelly Taylor and a few other ones for you super fans. The fact is that the water was incredibly polluted at that point, the Santa Monica Bay. It broke my heart. And there was a group called Heal the Bay that actually had a major fundraiser on our set. So it mattered a lot to me, how we did this, and that feeling of, well, what's the beach like now? What's California like now? And the most prescient song was by Elvis Costello, and it's called The Other Side of Summer.
Yeah.
And it sounds to me like the Beach Boys songs I grew up with, and the harmonies in this. And he's talking about summer, and then all of a sudden, in the second half of the song, he goes into the lyric comes, madman standing at the side of the road, look at my eyes, look at my eyes, look at my eyes, look at my eyes. And the rest of it is all about the down and out in Los Angeles. And he starts putting into his music video the homelessness. And we talked today and are like, oh, these homeless, where do they come from? Oh, they came from them. Yeah. And so it had both the thing. It had that, yes, it's summer, but hey, kids, look around. World is changing. I urge anybody to go to YouTube and check it out. And if you've got a relationship here, tell me what you think. Tell me what you think of the music video, because I love the song. And because we love the song so much, I cranked it up. And Kenny and I wanted to hear it. We heard it loud. We were happy about it. You couldn't hear the dialogue at the beach where they were about the grunions coming in. We did that on purpose. We knew it was too loud.
Right.
Mr. Spelling didn't like it. We loved it.
Now, I'm going to ask you a bunch more questions, and we're going to pop up some of the things that fans are saying. And Lily, I'm sure you've got a couple of things, but I think it goes without saying. That song is no longer in most of the songs that we're talking about right now. They're not in the episodes right now. If you go and try to stream this, it's replaced by bullshit. And that's the nicest way I could say it.
I thought we were saving that for another episode.
We are going to. But I think there needs to be a point made that we are definitely going to attack that at some point. What happened to the songs? I know everybody that's watching this probably wants to know what happened, but it's important to note here that the songs aren't there anymore. And we will jump into that at some point,
I think on Pop TV, some of the songs are there.
Yeah.
Like
but the ones that are there are the ones that are embedded in the track.
Yeah, like
we did buy for perpetuity.
But all the Stone songs are there, like in the opening of the Stones.
They were for perpetuity. They were perpetuity. All the ones, Christine singing Mercedes Benz was, it's in the track. It's okay. We bought it that way.
We'll do that conversation another day. But it is a point to be made, I think. Don't you guys think that, that's an issue?
And I don't know. I don't have all the answers about it, so we'll explore it together.
Absolutely. That's one of the things that we really want you to do, but we really want everybody on the show to care about the music as much as we do, because I think it's super important. Now, Chuck, I want to ask you, you mentioned before that there were people that turned you down. Were there songs that you wanted through the years? And Larry, you'll probably be able to jump in on this. Were there songs and artists that were like, no, I'm not doing that?
There were two that really do come to mind that I really cared about at the time. Three, actually. Let's go. The Dreams of Dylan McKay, when he's in the pool hall and Donna climbs on him. What we have now is Living in the Material World, which I thought was a great backup song. But the song I wanted was the big hit at the time by Counting Crows, Mr. Jones.
Mr. Jones, yeah.
It was a cool song. And I even tried to get it. He with the writer, Adam Durst, he went to Berkeley, and I went to Berkeley, Cal Berkeley. So I tried that. It just didn't work. He wouldn't. He was flattered that we did it. Somebody who rejected it out of hand, and one I always have a little bit of an edge to, even though she did license it to a musical. My daughter did that was off Broadway for a number of months. And I'm talking about Melissa Etheridge and the song "I'm the Only One." And the song that was supposed to be playing in the Fire show, the one where the lesbians show up, Sarah Melson and all the other show up at the rave, the song was supposed to be "I'm the Only One," which is the hottest, sexiest, lesbian, like we don't say the word then because of this, and it's a great song. And
hold on, Chuck. Your mic got a little distorted there. Pick up.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we're good now.
It was a great song, and she just didn't want to do it, and I felt badly about that because it was the way we were feeling about. We were not exploiting homosexuality, and even though she was closeted, God, I don't know if she was then. I think she probably was. But look at her video. It was very. You know the video I'm talking about, Larry?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I hadn't really made the connection though, because I don't think she was outed at that point.
That's probably why. Yeah. And we were pre-gay and a lot of stuff.
Was there another tune? You said there was three.
Oh yes,
I think there was some Madonna.
I don't blame them for. I don't blame them for. And if David from Cincinnati's listening, you'll know what I'm going to be talking about. So. The song that would be perfect to end the high school series of for 90210 would be, in my opinion, was "The End of the Innocents" by Don Henley. And you would have gone into the third verse about Daddy's home and Daddy's doing this and give me one final kiss, and it is tear-jerking. So what you got to do is line it up. I can give you exactly where to start it in the song and then play it sometime and look at that video and it'll blow your mind.
Chuck's going to tell us another, we'll give us the time code. Someone out there that's a great editor, do this for us, right?
Laid it in. Well, the thing is that it was, as I said, our soundtrack album was done by Irving Azoff, and Irving Azoff managed the
Eagles.
The Eagles. Yeah. And it turns out Don Passman was the lawyer, Larry. So my daughter-in-law's father and my daughter's father-in-law is the person who said no to us, it turns out. But it was because Henley's a singer-songwriter and he wrote it for a completely different circumstance, and he just kept wanting to own it. But it was the perfect moment, and it was high school was the end of the innocence, and it reflected in the where we went with the college episodes. When Larry came on, we started to become a more adult show, a more transitional show than we were in high school.
Yeah, Jessica, it was Melissa Etheridge, in case that cut out for you guys. That's who we were talking about before.
Melissa Etheridge.
Yeah. What about for you, Larry? Were there songs that you guys requested in your period of time, or even maybe artists that played at the Peach Pit that you guys wanted? By the way, I think it's fascinating that I would never think the Rolling Stones would ever agree to be on this show, and they're not even in this category. You can still watch it. You can check all their old music. Like that seems kind of crazy to me. You know what I mean? Like the biggest band in the world, you could still check out that episode. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, I mean, we've discussed before, but I think what happened was Fox was sponsoring their tour, the Voodoo Lounge tour.
Got it.
So Chuck and I said, "Whoa, this is pretty cool. You think we could pull this off?" And goddamn, it happened. We never thought it would happen. We had like a code name for the show. It was called Rock of Ages, I think.
Yeah.
The real name was Voodoo You Do So Well or something. But I mean, even up to the end, we kept thinking something bad was going to happen. But
what about guests and artists maybe at the Peach Pit After Dark? Were there people in that time period?
I mean, sure. We wanted to have Nirvana. We wanted everybody, but we did. I can't remember specifically, but certainly. I'm not going to tell the Spice Girls story. Never mind.
Oh, come on, go for it. Yeah. Good.
Well, all right, Jason, please forgive me, but we actually had the Spice Girls for the end of college graduation, where Kelly Taylor's father, who was a big venture capitalist, is actually going to end up going to jail, decides to do a big gesture and throw a big party, and he's going to have the Spice Girls. And the Spice Girls had approached us. They wanted to do the show.
I mean, that's
when I presented it before the director and producer of the show, who was the director, which was Jason. Jason literally looked at me like I had two heads. Like, it wasn't bad enough we did the Rolling Stones. Now we're doing the Spice Girls. This is it. I'm out of here. I'm not renewing my contract. We're getting the Cardigans.
Ooh.
When I had to kind of look them up on MTV and kind of watch for a while to see like love fool. Just very light. No one remembers. Anyway, so that's the show that I got fired. That's the band I got fired over. I kind of had overstepped my bounds at that
point.
Wait,
on the Cardigans or the Spice Girls? The Spice Girls.
I died on the Spice Girl hill.
And let me say, and someone who was not there at all of this, and who's remained friends with Jason all of these years as well, just like with Christine. Jay, all our cast was really traumatized in the first 2 years with Teeny Bopper.
Yeah.
They were on so many Tiger Beats and so many this.
Exactly.
So the Spice Girls, I imagine, I've never talked to Jason about this, but I imagine he thought, Spice Girls, Teeny Bopper, what are you doing? I'm not going back there again.
And guys, I've read Jason's book. I don't know if you guys have read Jason's book. He's kind of...
You mean the novel he wrote?
He's kind of spoken
about... Certainly the 90210 stuff is not
accurate. Speak about this?
No, he didn't speak about this in general, but in general, I think he regrets some of the thoughts that he had in that time period. So
it's totally fine. It just was what it was at that point. But I would have gone. It was just a big gesture. It would have been a big deal for the show.
Totally.
And again, Jason. I mean, Brandon Walsh wasn't booking the band. It was Kelly Taylor's father. Right. And so anyway, that's the story. That's my hill.
Was there ever a song that you were presented and you said no, absolutely not? And then
this was this was an episode that really that actually won an award. Thank you. It did win an award. It won an Imagine Award, and it was East Side Story. Mm-hmm. And it was the episode in the first season where the housekeeper's daughter comes to West Beverly High School, and uses the Walsh's house as the address where she's living, and basically she's in a witness protection because she saw a murder in Pomona. Her father was a professor, and this is this brilliant girl. So I did that. You weren't expecting Carla. Thank you, Lori. Yes. And so they were there, and it was kind of romantic and one of my favorites. And there's a whole big story about how that script was written. It's the only script that ever Larry, it's my only script that went into prep without a script.
Ooh.
And anyway, hard one to do for me, right at Christmas vacation and in the first season. But Jason, who was going to dance, and he was going to dance with her. He didn't have the authority yet to say, I'm not dancing. He had danced in some of these early episodes.
Definitely.
And they were going to go down the line. We had some great dancers in the different thing. And I wanted there to be some romance. So because of that, I picked a song that had a romantic underneath, instead of a song that nobody had ever heard of, which starts this way. I'll actually sing it right now.
Okay.
Everybody dance now. Boom, 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 boom.
Right.
So that was the one I should have chosen. Yes. I want to be with the kids, you know.
Lily, do you got some more fan thoughts, fan requests? And I've got some here that I can pull up for you guys. I don't know if you guys can see the comments. There's a comments button there that people are asking with, but you can learn that trick at some other point for a future episode. But
live comments.
All right, here's Todd says, hey, I will put the end of the Innocents in for you tonight if you want. Tell me where to start and where to start. There you go. Thank you, Todd.
Give your email after the show or however you do it. You give your contact information to Peter or Lily, and we'll give you the coordinates.
Okay, there we go. Thank you, Todd, for that. Okay, Lily, what do you got?
Another iconic song, "Damn, I Wish I Was Your Lover" by Sophie B. Hawkins.
Yeah, that was big.
Could have easily selected that song to be one of my two. That was the difference. See, we're now in the third season, and it's a song that's starting to get radio play. And we can go to them and say, you know, your song would be perfect for our show. Can we use it here? And they did. And it's just, it's that opening thing, boom, boom, that the organ does. It just really puts you in the mood. And, it really kind of, justified their whole thing together. They were, you could see, they're really a couple here. So I loved the moment, and the song was perfect.
What about the prom with Kathy Dennis? That's Brian Matthew Serta, I guess is how you say your name.
Well, Kathy Dennis was on our studio album, our soundtrack album, I should say. And, so we used a lot of her music. The one that I responded to was I thought, a really cool dance song called "Why." It was offered. It was on our album, and sometimes you have so many details and so many battles to deal with every day that sometimes, you mean we can do this? Okay, fine, let's go. You don't really. There might have been something better. In fact, one young man I talked 90210 music with is always saying, well, wouldn't you love to use the Beatles? Or I put you with this song here. Wouldn't it have been cool? And it's like, well, yeah, but I didn't say it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It was the music that we had to choose from is the music we did.
Right. Okay, here's Sarah Page Hall says, who chose the rave?
Favorite people, and she knows that.
All right, hold up, Larry. Your mic is cutting again, so just take a second and then you can answer this. But who chose the rave ups to play at Spring Dance? Sarah Page Hall.
Sarah Page Hall.
Really good friend of the show and a friend of mine. I appreciate that you're on here. Yeah. The rave ups were completely Darren Starr. He was directing. I was his first directing assignment. Darren has developed into a really fine director. That was the first one he did, and it really came out so well. But he needed a band, and he needed a band that played original material, not covers, and he needed them to be a kind of that would be at a prom, the kind of an upscale garage band, as it were. No offense to the Rave Ups, I never met them. I wasn't even on the set while they were shooting any of that. But it worked out, and that's how it came about through Danielle Gelber, who was I remember Darren asking her. She was a former spelling employee who had moved to Fox. Do you know a band like this? Because she was a player too, and she, suggested the Rave Ups.
Okay, and Sean Paul asked, I guess it's more for Larry. No Doubt was supposed to play Steve's Party. Gwen Stefani didn't want to. Have you ever heard that?
Oh yeah. That is, so the one we got the Goo Goo Dolls for instead.
Which is great.
Yeah, I think that might have been through that. I think there was we did cast a little bit of a net there for that. That was going to be a big gesture party on the Queen Mary, and
Favorite episodes.
Yeah, I think that did happen, actually. Now it's starting to come back to me. But we were happy with the Goo Goo Dolls, who were a pretty big band at that time. And I'm sure that episode's been stripped of all the songs. I have no idea. A very short episode. They played about 5 songs, I think.
Lily, do you got any more?
I do have one, and it involves the intro song. I don't know if you guys had any part of that creation, but that guitar break when it's Luke's appearance, that kind of bad boy. Where did you guys come up with that?
Everybody's done great singing so far tonight on the show.
It was just a way to show. I guess it often came from Ken Miller, who, as Larry said, was a songwriter himself and who very fine pianist in this. And he did feel the music that we had. And he felt that wild guitar just showed, teenage angst out of control. And John Davis, who was the composer of the original theme, I think he was the first one to start playing around with stuff like that.
Very cool. All right, guys, I think we did a good job here tonight. We did about an hour talking about the music of 90210, right?
Not bad.
I think we could probably go on a whole more 2 hours, but there's going to be many more episodes of this podcast and video cast if you're watching live. So we intend to keep talking about more of the things. Now, next week, I think we're going to do an episode. We're going to uncover all the things about Beach Blanket Brandon, right? Is that what we agreed on, guys? Is that what we're going with, Chuck?
Well, I mean, you could, like I said, we should maybe bring somebody in to, because I don't.
Yeah, I'm going to think about that. I'm going to think about that because this really is not a Larry episode. Ours are the college ones.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean,
and this one,
fair enough. I mean, I can.
This one is really. Let me think about that. Also, there's some people I could call and I think would be really good with it. And let me think.
Okay, cool. So we'll talk about that. But Beach Blanket Brandon's next. And then we want to know from you guys. Lily's going to set up a poll where you guys can pick some episodes and tell us, what do you want to know about episode wise? Do you want to know about characters, how they were created? Do you want to know more about songs? Do you want to know how a song got into a certain place? So this is what this show is all about. We're just kind of getting started here with the Beverly Hills.
Here's the one thing, though. Here's the one caveat about this show for the fans. And we did make reference to this in our first one.
Yeah.
Is that Larry and I and all the other writers who preceded Larry, we spent our time in the writer's room.
Right.
And we were based at Spelling Entertainment on Wilshire Boulevard. We filmed in Van Nuys. And Paul Wagner, who came on in episode 7 and ended up being the executive producer of the show and stayed there all through the 10 seasons. He was the man. He dealt with the cast.
Yeah.
So you want to know all the theatrics that went on. I can tell you maybe how it was affecting us in the writer-producer's room.
Right.
But in terms of juicy gossip, babies, you on your own.
Yeah,
I don't know.
This is necessarily going to be any of that. I think this is going to be more about how it happened, how it was made. I think there's a huge fascination with that stuff. So, I mean, maybe we'll hit some tidbits. Like I thought Larry's story about Spice Girls was very entertaining and interesting from a production standpoint, right? But I think we'll explore things as they pop up for sure. And I'm super excited to have you guys here. I said I would rather hang out with you guys than President Obama. So,
Peter, let's not get carried away, dude. Come on.
Well,
it's drive down to Venice. You can see me. I'm around.
Well, not to offend anybody, but it's got to be better than what's currently serving us in the White House, right?
Oh, well, that's for damn sure.
Yeah, right. And I don't mean to offend anybody.
I do, though. You see, that's the distinction of 90210 is that I did.
Yeah.
So all these people, whether you like it or not, you love one of the most liberal shows that were certainly ever put on the Fox.
Yeah, and
I love the fact to tell Chuck to stop doing social justice episodes, though.
They did. Well, The Simpsons wins on that. Nobody at Fox has a better, political eye than Simpsons, and the best show ever put on television.
We all could agree, probably at this point, that Brandon Walsh would be a better president than what's in the White House right now. I mean, he went to California University. He was president. All right, guys, thanks so much for doing it.
Prior fellow.
Yeah, exactly. And you know that he always did the right thing. So anyway, guys, thank you for joining us tonight. We're going to do a lot more of these, and stay tuned for more updates. Follow the pages at Beverly Hills 90210 Show on Facebook and Instagram.
I'm on LarryMollin.com.
It's LarryMollin.com. Charles, do you have a CharlesRosin.com?
Oh gosh,
You better get.
I guess I do.
You'll have it by the end of the week. So it's going to be good for everybody.
Okay.
And we'll move forward, and there will be all kinds of stuff coming soon. We're just getting started, guys. I think you're going to have a fun time on this new show. Lily, thanks so much for bringing all the fan questions.
Thank you, Lily.
Yeah, you're in this process, and don't want to miss not say thank you there as well. So thanks, guys, and thanks for joining us.
Larry.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.